Hey there, Geoff Manchester, Manchester Music. Welcome. In this video, I'm going to be covering a product that is very near and dear to my heart. It's called Scalar, and we are now on Scalar 3. I say near and dear to my heart because people who have been on this channel know that I reviewed Scalar 2 2 years ago. And since then, that video has about 150,000 views as of today's recording. And I think that speaks to the tremendous power of the tool, and in some ways the expectations on the Scalar music team to succeed that product with Scalar 3. So I know this tool a lot. It really revolutionized the way that I compose music because I am not a very traditionally music theory oriented person. And so I was really curious to see just what they would change about this product and whether or not it would make me feel convinced that we'd really made a leap into, a kind of next gen tool, or if this was more like a Scalar 2.5 or 2.7. Now, I should say right off the bat, this video is in collaboration with them because they sent it to me and they're sponsoring this video, but they are not going to get a say in the things I have to say about this plugin. And I do have a lot of things to say about it. They will get to review it to make sure that it's technically accurate, and I totally understand that. So they will have seen this, and if you're watching this, it's because they gave it a thumbs up. But my feelings and my attitudes about this product are very much my own. What this video is not going to be is the last one, which is a deep dive into every kind of nook and cranny that I can fit into a video. Because at this point you should know what this product is, but also you should just go to Scalar Music's YouTube channel and look at their great drip campaign where they were teasing all the features, and also take a look at whatever videos they've done post Scalar 3 launch, because there's probably going to be a lot of walkthroughs and stuff that are going to be presented way more competently by them than by me. What this video is just going to be is me reacting to a lot of the stuff that I've been playing with over the last couple of weeks that I've been testing this product, and giving you my verdict on where Scalar 3 succeeds, where some of its challenges or shortcomings might be. And that's what this video is today. And also, it's going to be an old school video in that I'm going to do my intro and outro on camera, but for the driving portion, when we're in the plugin, I'm going to be just, voiceover and computer screen, no second camera. This is going to let me get this video out faster and make it easier for me in the editing room. So there will be a link in the bottom in the description where you can go grab this plugin, and you can get it directly from Scalar now. You don't have to go to a third party or anything like that. You can get it direct, and you can get it from the Scalar Music link that I'll leave in the description. So just go there if you're interested and want to get it. At this time, I don't know if the link's going to be affiliate yet, but anyway, you can go there, just Google it, get the product. Let's hop in. All right, here's Scalar 3. Not bad, huh? Like an old friend with a new haircut. So this is the redesigned user experience and user interface, which they say is not too far from the old one, but I think new enough to make it feel like an upgrade. A couple things. There's a browse, create, and arrange tab. Nice and clustered here on the left side, so you can get around pretty quickly. The other thing that's new or different is that I'm not in a DAW. That's because Scalar 3 kind of is a DAW now. I'm untethered to Logic or Pro Tools or whatever I want to compose in. And that comes with a bunch of other things, doesn't it? That means that instead of having to use one of Scalar's, pre-baked sounds, which are pretty good, you can go here and choose your own instrument, or go by manufacturer and choose something from Spitfire or TuneTrack or, I don't know, whoever, Native Instruments, go to Contact. You can do that. And we're not going to, but you know that you can now because I told you. And I'm going to keep things nice and simple and just go with the instruments from the team here at Scalar Music. But that's the other really cool thing, and perhaps the most strategically important thing, which I'll talk about more at the end of the video and later on. I think it's a very interesting choice that they've made. Now, just because Scalar 3 is available in standalone mode as its own thing doesn't mean that you can't still open it in your DAW of choice, like I have here in my DAW of choice, Logic Pro. It just means that now you're not tethered to this big hulking workstation with its own updates and quirks and iLock messages that pop up as you're trying to get closer toward getting your idea out there. So you can still open it up, but now you've got the option to just have it free floating on your desktop, as I will be for the rest of this video. What can we do in this new Scalar 3 that we couldn't in the second? Well, browse a new interface. That's the first thing. So let's do that. Let's start here. We have some really nice tagging right off the bat from the chord set area. We can, of course, go and just pick a scale here, but let's just go from the chord set over here. So I like to work in semantic kind of ways, as you know. So I like to talk about music like emotions. I want it to be dark, moody, or whatever. And certainly my clients will be, I want something dark. I want something gritty, something happy, heroic. So let's go to, chill. And let's see what we have here. Sad ending, touching, disco. A chill disco, huh? Okay, let's do touching. Double click. All right, now we have some chords populated here, and we have the current scale of this chord set. Let's play this and see what it sounds like. If that's not touching, then you can skate away on a lake as frozen as your heart, because that's pretty touching to me. But you can choose to make it more touching by changing the instrument. Like I said, you can just go use something else. But let's say we want, I don't know, digital piano. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, I'm getting house vibes, house music vibes. Let's say that I wanted to diminish the attack a little bit, a little plucky. Go here, new control. Let's tone down the attack. Do it in real time. Bring up the reverb. Delay. So we can control the attack, decay, sustain, and release, aspects of the sound. Play with the cutoff filter, which is pretty cool. Just double click to return things. That's new. That's neat. I'm going to go back to felt piano, which I think is the star of the show as far as internal sounds goes. Oh, somewhere along the way we changed from touching to contemporary R&B. Let's go back to touching. There we go. All right, so I want to promote this little sequence here to the main track down here. I can do that like you can do a lot of things in Scalar 3 by dragging stuff around or right-clicking and go add to main track. Now here it is. All right, the other main thing that is new and cool. Phrases. That was a Scalar 2 thing. Well, they call them motions now, and they're tagged and categorized, again, very elegantly and semantically. So you go over here, click this, and now we get this nice system here where we can go by expressions, articulations, save some favorites, they'll show up here, genres, moods. I'm a mood guy, so let's see what we have here for chill. Let's stay in the chill mood. Phrases, common phrases for chill. Just click and wait. When you stop holding, it stops. That's cool. Okay, let's try this. Double click and let's turn this on, right? That's circle. Now what do we have? So this is before. All right, it's a little similar. It's chordal after all. Let's go for something that's a little bit more sequency. Let's try this just for fun. So that's pretty cool. I can go in here, change the tone, mess with the ADSR, change the, the sequence. I happen to like something that's a little kind of boring and basic. So maybe we can do something, common phrases here. Now, common sequences. You know what? I'm going to leave the motions off because I think this sounds very moody on its own. To me, that's good for me. But let's talk about really exploring new chords and adding new things and playing with inversions, because over on the create page or tab, there's a lot more stuff going on. So we have some old favorites, right? Circle of fifths. But here in the explore window page, this is net new. And this is really, really interesting. In the explore page, we're now kind of untethered to a specific scale. And we can still categorize things semantically by bright, dark, neutral. We can go with genres. And what we have here is a really interesting circle, which we can use to play around and try different chord progressions, maybe some new directions, new structures. I'll show you what I mean. So right now, if I press something, you'll see some colors change. That's because dynamic scale is on, and dynamic scale is going to adjust the colors of the chords, and it'll kind of indicate how closely they are in terms of relation to the last played chord. If I turn this off, the colors don't change, but here when they're on, you can see, okay, if I play this F minor, okay, I'll go to C. All right, if I want to continue this path, I should go over here maybe. This will be a safe chord for me to play. And maybe go over here, and here, and then E major. So this gives you a kind of color, breadcrumb trail to see, like, here's where you should go next. Or you can turn it off and just be adventurous. And speaking of adventurous, you have the circle, right? We didn't need to talk about this for a second. The notes in the inner circle, if you will, these are the ones that are kind of safe to play. And the ones outside are a bit more, I think they say adventurous. On the left side, they tend to be more minor. I say they tend to, I'm pretty sure they are minor. And on the right, they're major. So the ones on the right are going to sound a bit more optimistic and brighter, and the ones on the left, they're going to sound a little, darker and moodier. So you can really use this as a mixing bowl to see, well, what happens if I combine this with this and go in this direction and then move over here or whatever. And you can say, okay, I'm ready to bring one of these chords, just drag it into my selection and see what it sounds like. So just with the addition of this C minor 7, we got a bit of a lift, right? Before we went back down into the sullen kind of progression of this main track that I've created, which is pretty cool. I could continue experimenting in here and play with some more stuff, but I think this gives you a sense of what this explore page is all about within the create section here of the 3 sections. Now, the other really interesting area in this tab is the colors section. And this just gives you some really interesting ideas on different voicing structures for your chord set. So for example, we can choose here different voicings or just audition the ones that are here. So these are all related to where we started, right? Try this one. Or this one. And if I want to audition it, up an octave, much more delicate, right? Or down a couple. So it's getting a bit muddy and a bit gritty, but you get the point. You also have the modulation section, which was from the last one, and you have the circle of fifths, which was from the previous iteration of Scalar 2. But I think the Explore and the Colors page are definitely like the most interesting to me when it comes to being experimental. and playing with some of the sounds before committing to something. And the other really cool thing is like you have this little light bulb thing here, which can suggest some chords based on what you have in the path. So let's try that afterwards. And let's follow it up with this and just see how it sounds. We can start kind of halfway in. No, we can't. We have to start from the beginning. So to me, that was fun, but it doesn't really complement what we've already made. Let's finish out at the arrange page, which is right here. So this is where I think it gets really interesting. We can hit the plus sign, because we've heard this a million times. Let's hit the plus sign and add something to kind of complement what we have. And one of the things I can do is just go over here to chord follow and just have some chords that are literally going to follow this thing around. So we just added that automatically. It adapts to the chords up here because it knows what they are. And now we have an accompanying section that sounds like this. Now, obviously, we're just doubling things up, right? So this would sound more interesting if we had more of a melody up here. So let's go back to this section here. And let's add a sequence. See what that sounds like. So I think we need to create a bit of division because these are both hanging out in the same octave. So what I'll do is just drag this across, and now we have this little note editor section. So I'm going to bring this up an octave just to differentiate it a bit. I can add another track and make it more of a bass. Let's see what this sounds like. And again, you can just audition things and see them really quickly. These are all a little bit too frenetic for me. Okay, this is better. And let's say, okay, we don't need another felt piano. So let's go over here. The mixer view. There we go. Just took me a second. And I want to choose an actual bass sound for this. Bring it up an octave. It's just kind of filling the track out as we go. Let's add another element here. Let's do this, and let's make this a choir. Again, we're just playing around, okay? We're not going to submit this and then wait for the check. I could decide to make the bass a little lower. I could also go over here and be like, you know what, this needs a little bit of something, a little bit of reverb. I'll search reverb, that's pretty handy. And then I can get access to some stuff that I have here. Let's do pure plate. And just add a bit of reverb to the choir. Sounds a bit more flush now. there is so much more new stuff going on in Scalar that I wasn't really able to cover here, but I think I've covered the basics. The UI, the UX, the ability to go through the motions, the ability to go over here into the Explore section and really carve out some new possibilities and new chord progressions, the color stuff, all this has been updated. And of course, it all comes together over here in this Arrange section where you can really get outside the DAW and just get an idea down quickly and then move on or bring it into the DAW, whatever it is you want to do. I think I'm ready to kind of deliver a verdict of sorts for how I think Scalar 3 stacks up against Scalar 2. So I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so now that we're on the other side of the camera, what do I think of Scalar 3? I had big hopes for Scalar 3. I use Scalar 2 all the time, as I mentioned, so this is really important for me that the team get it right. And I really believe that they have gotten it right. In fact, I would say that, in marketing, we have this term like the right to win. What gives Scalar the right to win? There's a lot of competitors, so why is it special? I think it deserves, the praise for Scalar 3 and the right to win for a couple of reasons. The first is the commitment to visual and semantic control. By this, I just mean, as I mentioned on this channel and maybe in this video, I did not go to Berklee College of Music. I am not someone who really cares about music theory. I know a little bit to be dangerous, but not very much. I really love all of the visual and semantic language. In the motions, for example, you can kind of see the visualization of what those kind of, what the MIDI notes are going to be and get a sense right away, almost like a Sonokinetic plugin of how the sounds are going to cascade back and forth. I love the semantic controls in the presets as well, and also in the kind of artist presets at the top of the main page for you to kind of go in and browse. I really love that. I love the kind of the circles and the way that you visually just click through things, and how some are, blue and others are shaded as though to kind of be like, oh, these might be more adventurous chords and whatnot. To me, as a non-music theory person, that is how I think about music, and how, frankly, a lot of us think about music. You can imagine someone in a recording studio that's listening back to a record and be like, oh, can you make it darker? Can you make it more gritty? This is how we all think about music. And certainly as a composer, that's how I think about it. And that's how my clients come to me, like, can you make something that's dark or heroic or epic or whatever? And all that language is embedded into this product, both at a vocabulary level, but also visually as someone getting into this and playing with stuff. I just feel very supported to go and try things and just almost like a video game, just click things and play around. And that often leads to a really great result to me. So I think they have the right to win, number one, for their commitment, and with Scalar 3, the recommitment toward semantic and visual control. But the second reason I think they have a right to win comes in the form of this concept of friction. When you're creating something, the biggest threat to your creativity is friction, right? It's, I want to get from A to B, but my software needs to load, or I got a phone call, or like, my camera's not working. There's friction on the path toward getting you toward your imagination and really stimulating your creativity. And when I saw that Scalar 3 is now pretty much a DAW in and of itself, mind you, a very kind of young DAW in a way. They say it's not a DAW replacement, but let's face it, has a lot of controls, AU, VST stuff. To me, that is removing one more layer of friction between you and your creativity. And I really commend them for that. As I've said, you fire up your DAW, you have an idea in your head, you get a bunch of pop-up windows, you have to update something, iLock message comes in literally telling you to go to hell. It's not a great experience. When you fire up Scalar 3, you're off to the races, and you can get an idea down and then salvage the idea and take it into the DAW when you want. But this is how it is. Like, we all reach for our phones now and go to voice memos, right? To record an idea, because the friction is just, there's none, right? So like, I see in all aspects of life, companies trying to remove friction, even like swiping a credit card. Well, now you tap because that's easier, right? There's all these ways where they're trying to put, us closer to whatever the end goal happens to be. And I see Scalar 3 as doing that for creativity and for composers and people just wanting to play with ideas. I see them really stripping out the friction. So I do commend them for that as well. Now, there's a lot of other pluses to the plugin that are probably going to be more obvious to people who really care about all of the music theory stuff, like the colors tab and being able to see all your kind of harmonic combinations and things like that, and the mixing view with your lanes and all that stuff. Like, that's all very cool. But to me, the meta stuff, the visualization, the semantic control, and just the removal of even more friction on my path toward creativity, those are the things that I think Scalar 3, the team really deserves to pat themselves on the back for. There's some minor kind of things, and I mentioned those as I'm driving along in that video, right? There's some stuff like, I don't love that depending on where the tonal center is of the motion, it might bring your whole thing down. Then you have to go and, play with the octave to get it back to whatever the original sample was. But overall, I really think this is how you do a sequel to a really beloved product. You raise the bar, make it easier for everybody to get in, make people feel like they can be really creative with it, adding AU and VST stuff. So yeah, great job, Scalar 3 team. If you're still around, thank you for watching all the way in. Again, you can go to the description and grab, a copy of it with the link or whatever. Just find it on your own. But we'll leave it there. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have some other things that you want me to cover in future videos around Scalar 3? Please let me know. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next thing when I have something to talk about. See ya.